Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Today, it's Sunday, and I didn't think I'd be doing a recording. But I've managed to squeeze one in. That's what she said. Right, well, hope you had a great weekend. Now, let's see what time is it. So, luckily, by the time I record this, and, well, by the time you watch this, it probably won't be Sunday. I mean, technically, it's Monday morning because it's gone midnight, but if you do watch this, don't watch this before you go to bed, because I got a feeling that this is going to be really freaky, because this is the darkest secret, and it's the Hat Man. This is real. Never watch this horror video if you want to sleep in peace. Ew. Something my... Yeah, right. I'm not sure how I feel about Hat Man because of what it's associated with, but we'll see. We'll go along with it, okay? As always, the link to the channels I react to are in the description below, so go check them out, okay? Jolly good work.
That night, on my way back from school, I saw it, standing at the end of the alley. It seems to be staring at me with horrible eyes.
Estaba en la cocina, pero algo me llevó de aquí para allá. ¿Sabes a qué me refiero? Allí estaba él, inmóvil en la esquina.
No es solo una visión pasajera. A veces sientes su presencia durante horas. Y es como si dejara una parte de sí mismo contigo.
The scariest part isn't seeing it, you know? It's the feeling that it knows something about you. It's like it knew where I lived, at least
Psychic.
in my case, and you don't even know what it is.
The paranormal is very difficult to study because you do not have the tools to repeat a phenomena and thus study it. But when something happens to many people and in different parts of the world, that is when you begin to suspect that that phenomena could be real.
Kind of agree or disagree. Whilst that's true, the thing about the Hat Man as well is, I mean, there are various academic sources to this. One is, as you'll see when it's about sleep paralysis, stuff like that, is a lot of it could be, how to put it, same with dreams. So an idea gets planted in your head. It could be any time during the week, and that then is in your brain. So even if it don't make a difference what time of day or whatever, when it comes and pops into your brain. I mean, yes, there are some dreams where it's like, so if you've never been to certain places, or if it's one that's really out of the ordinary, that you can't, like, places that you can't place, and there's a theory that, you know, according to some physicists, you know, it could be you're viewing the memories of your parallel self. But no, I've done a video on that, it's a different thing. But the whole idea of this phenomena, even with the grey aliens, I suppose, you could say about with aliens. I'm not saying it's all necessarily the case. Out of all this, I'm not saying there isn't a genuine case, but the thing is, it makes no difference, because in the terms of today's internet, you're going to pick it up somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not saying people haven't heard of the Hat Man, but I find it hard to believe that people have not heard, or, you know what I mean, or subconsciously heard them, because there'll be programs that I ignore. I'll be doing my own thing on my phone or something. You know, when my late father was alive, he used to watch a lot of history programs. I didn't actually pick it up, but suddenly out of nowhere, I have this really intuitive knowledge of history when it comes to quizzes. Well, that's because your brain and your eyes pick up things even that you don't realise. It's part of your fight or flight things, your senses. You know what I mean? So it's like, so in other words, if you're reading a book and something comes crashing through the wall, and you react, that's because your brain's aware of it, even though you're distracted by the book. If that makes sense. So you'll pick up things subconsciously without knowing about it. So I find it hard to believe that no one has heard of the Hat Man in some form or the other. I mean, and that could be. Anyway, I'll let the video keep on playing, but with sleep paralysis, you're panicking, so therefore your brain may create images and stuff.
Maybe you already know the Hat Man, the most known of all the shadows. An enigmatic and dark being who seems to not do anything.
Because I forgot to
But for some people, he is there, as if stalking them. Tonight, I bring you the best evidence that speaks of its existence.
Sorry, Casper says, get a job.
Not only what is said or shown about it on the internet, but mostly recordings from our own subscribers. Something so common that happens so many times must be real. My name is Leonore Clay, and this is The Darkest Secret. Today we present It's Real. Real recordings that captured the Hat Man.
Ooh. I hope so, because I don't mind. I don't mind stories coming on, but I prefer if there's any photos or videos, it seems more fun.
Dressed in black with a distinctive hat projecting over its face, this entity has been the center of countless terrifying sightings and tales. It is said to appear in the shadows, often in the darkest hours of the night, silently observing its witnesses, leaving a trail of unease and mystery. Some talk about seeing it at the foot of their beds, others in the corners of dark rooms or in lonely hallways. They describe him as a tall, imposing presence who, despite his apparent lack of facial features, seems to penetrate the soul with a non-existent gaze.
The other thing is, a lot of people say when it comes to, say, shadow people, people do dismiss it as nonsense straight away, and the explanation they give only counts for 1% of what's actually said or seen. Because yeah, when you see something in the corner of your eye, that could be anything. Yeah, you could dismiss it as anything, right? But that excuse, that debunking, as it were, doesn't explain the full-on apparitions that people see. You know, either that they're fake, which could be the case, but if they're not fake and that's sincerely what someone's caught on camera, or if someone witnesses it and hasn't recorded it but sees it in front of them, that's a different kettle of fish as well. And there's loads of ideas and theories about shadow people and stuff like that, in the scientific community as well. And some people go, "Oh, that's stupid. It's just something you see in the corner of your eye." And it's like, yeah, you're talking about the theory that explains what people see in the corner of their eye, not full-on apparition as real as you and me stood right in front of you. Different story.
The stories vary in details, but one constant remains. Those who see it feel it familiar, as if it were part of their lives.
That face, though, that just reminds me of that, even it's blur, reminds me of that one in, was it Poltergeist 2? Well, Cain, that's it. Well, hello, child. God is in his holy... What am I getting chicken for? It freaked me out when I was younger, but I was used to... as I got older, it didn't scare me anymore. But God is in his holy temple.
It is not known if it is a specter, an entity from another dimension, or simply the product of collective imagination fueled by fear of the unknown.
I wonder, maybe I should do that, is see how old the Hat Man legend is. Because I wonder if it got started by Poltergeist, because again, that looks. Because if you watched that as a child, if you haven't got balls of steel like me, joking, I'm only joking. Now, probably as I grew up watching horror films as a kid, so I got desensitized to it. But Freddy Krueger affected me a bit when I was a kid. I used to do that thing with the bed, like fold a blanket up and not, you know what I mean. But the thing is, if you're really sensitive to horror films or stuff like that, that sort of thing, Poltergeist would really mess you up as a kid. So it'd be interesting to see if Hat Man came from Poltergeist too. Just saying.
It is true that those who suffer from sleep paralysis see it more frequently, and therefore it is associated with simply an illusion. But there are others, like those you will meet in this video, who not only saw it, managed to save the recordings for posterity to show us that it's not an illusion, that it's...
So you're thinking about sleep paralysis because you think you don't understand what's happening to you. Basically, sleep paralysis is really you don't even have to have your eyes open. You'll still hallucinate. It's your brain boots up. Basically, everything turns on in your brain before your body. So it feels like you're paralyzed. Basically, you could probably move your top. Your top shoulder like that. But if you're completely paralysed, that's because the signals from your brain hasn't gone down yet, because everything's just kicked up. Your brain's rebooted earlier. So you're trying to make sense of it. Your brain's trying to make sense of it, and it feels like you're being pinned down. Hence stories of demons or spirits pinning people down. So you're trying to make sense of it. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's been rare occasions, once or twice, where I had really bizarre, messed up dreams around it. But they're dreams. They weren't reality. If they were reality, then I would know about it, because it would be signs of it. You know what I mean? The after traces of traces left of it. You know, like things on fire and shit like that. Really fucked. I had some really demonic shit. But I know it's a dream. I didn't stress the rest of my life about it. And I've already had them, to be fair. But yeah, it's your brain trying to make sense of it, if it makes sense. And it's like, if obviously the things like shadow people or aliens, Hat Man, I'm not saying they don't exist, but your brain has a big plethora of, like a library, even if you're not aware of it. So try and make sense of it, and if ideas get planted in your brain, those ideas will manifest based on your fears, etc.
real, and that maybe it could start stalking you too. Let's get to know the first evidence. Do you remember the video where I showed you drawings of patients with schizophrenia? Do you remember the doctor? In that video, I told you about a case of one of our subscribers who practices art therapy in a psychiatric hospital. Art therapy is an extremely important task to understand people who suffer from mental disorders. And on that occasion, our subscriber shared with me some...
Look at that. Good drawing. Fucking lips. Good drawing, boy, but...
disturbing drawings that his patients have made. And the strangest thing was that sometimes different patients saw the same entity. The doctor recently provided me with more details about other cases with similar patterns. He revealed to me something disconcerting that has plunged the entire northern section of the psychiatric hospital into a state of absolute terror. You see, the doctor is seeing a patient who, for privacy reasons, we will just call Michael. An outpatient, meaning one who is not hospitalized, since his condition does not require it.
I'm just thinking it, because the problem is, we all think this is what we tend to do, is we listen to the stories, but does anyone ever I mean, I'd love for psychiatrists, scientists, or you name it, anyone, maybe even physicists like Michio Kaku, who's more open minds to aliens and that because of physics and stuff. It would be interesting. I would love it if they just got some experts together, just to pretend for a moment, just for them to pretend that all this shit is legit. I'm not saying it isn't legit, but you know what I mean. Just to pretend it's legit, and try and work out a scientific reason or motive for the Hat Man. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't seem to hurt people. He terrifies them, but anyone would be terrified, especially if it's a dark and there's a figure. You know, if that was a person or a burglar, even on a basic level, you know, your basic instinct. Really good film. You know what I mean, though? But he didn't seem to hurt people. It's like, yeah, he may stare into you, as it were, but then again, if say, for example, it was a being who has telepathy or a person who has telepathy, then that's how it feels. And obviously, if you're say, for example, sleep paralysis, if you're paralysed or whatever, and you're feeling scared, and then someone is penetrating your mind, who are misses, that feels like a violation as well. Or, you know, you feel a bit, oh, you know what I mean? So is it gathering information? I mean, or is it the Grim Reaper? Is he there because he's like, oh, right, okay, it's not your time yet. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a lot of patience. You know what I mean? I don't know. Does he gather information? Is he what? Is he a silent? Is he a silent protector we don't know about? If he's an invasion, if he's a malevolent being, then why is he not hurt anyone? If he just observes you, who can say? I mean, maybe that could be just it. Maybe he's an information gatherer. Maybe there's more than one. Who can say?
Is a 30-year-old man with a history of depression and anxiety. A couple of sessions ago, Michael indicated that he was beginning to experience what the doctor concluded was only sleep paralysis, inability to move, having visions, etc. Obviously, for Michael, it was much more terrible. He saw horrible shadows and sometimes just auditory hallucinations. He confesses to the doctor that he once woke up but couldn't move. He woke up because he felt a hand caressing his hair, while a deep voice whispered very close to his ear the song from Toy Story, "You Got a Friend in Me."
Oh, God. You've got a friend in me. Oh, God. Oh. Sure it's not Jim... No, that's just a bad joke. God, fucking hell. Gee. Oh, man. The thing I can't explain, I mean, I could easily skeptically explain it off as... in a mid-dreaming state to awake state is the only thing I could think of academically to explain it off. But one time, I was like that, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't asleep, and a woman said something to me, and it made me fucking jump. Ever since then, nothing weird has happened. But, yeah. But yeah, man. Oh, imagine that. You sure it's not some weirdo bastard who's just like next door or just got into your house or whatever, or if there's a patient in the hospital, just like, you've got a friend in me. Zip. Stop it. Behave yourself.
A horrible and slow version of the song. Something extremely creepy, which is why Michael began to develop a phobia when sleeping and was avoiding it.
Hat? Maybe it's Woody.
He had not slept properly for 2 days, only in 10-minute intervals a few times a day.
Although, I do apologise, we shouldn't really laugh. I mean, I'm laughing about what's in my head, not laughing at this poor guy. You know what I mean? We shouldn't laugh at the people. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. At the end of the day, they're genuinely suffering, and you know what I mean? So,
even though the doctor explained that he was trapped in a cycle where avoiding sleep caused him stress, more sleep paralysis, and also daytime visions. Michael did not relax until he was prescribed pills. That day he was
Well, that's gonna fucking
prescribed
help,
antidepressants and anxiety medication, among other things. A week later, Michael arrived much more upset.
I'm not... Sorry to stop it there, but don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't take medication if you need it. I mean, genuinely need it. But I don't know, for some... I mean, I could do with antidepressants, seriously, to get through my bloody life. Work, life, and all that sort of shit. But at the end of the day, all I can tell, or from what I've seen, is they don't help people. It seems to either make them tired, it just seems to have a debilitating effect on their life. And at the end of the day, I think from what I've seen, I think this to a degree is medically true. And that is, at the end of the day, they only deal with the symptoms. They just stop you from feeling shit. I think at the end of the day, you need to deal with the actual cause, or what's causing it. You know what I mean? The only way I can solve my depression is to find a job that doesn't have people in it. You know what I mean? This is that simple. I mean, work colleagues great, but the public, oh my god, I want to throttle them. You know what I mean? The Purge it was when I first saw. I mean, not that long ago, I watched The Purge. It's one of my favourite films.
He came with insomnia, generalized anxiety disorder, and delusional disorder, among others. It was then when the doctor performed his art therapy. According to what Michael told the doctor, the entity always appears with its back turned. It is huge, but he cannot enter his room until it disappears. It is there almost every night, threatening him not to go to bed. He believes that in the next sleep paralysis, this being will take him away. During the day, he usually appears facing him. It has a strange face, one that doesn't look like a face, with an eye where the mouth should be, and no nose, just a protuberance, and so on with a couple more photos.
But as you can see, if this, again though, if it posed a threat, unless of course it feeds off fear, I wonder if it's like a psychic vampire. I don't mean of the humankind, but it feeds off fear and that. You know what I mean? See, the thing about jinn, it won't be jinn. I mean, even if it's a bad jinn or a good jinn, the jinn feed. Apparently, they eat scraps. Well, actually, the thing is, the only damning thing to that, people say, oh, they don't eat people, they eat rotted flesh or scraps that you throw in the bin. If that's the case, then wouldn't our bins be empty? Just had a random thought then, but hang on. But they say there's a thing like there's that scary idea of the concept that was it Monsters Inc. comes from some pretty dark places. The concept, this whole idea that these entities feed off fear and all that sort of stuff. It'd be interesting if there's a rogue entity who just goes around feeding off fear. That'd make a good crime film, wouldn't it? It's like, you could have like a first contact scenario in the introduction where the jinn reveal themselves. I'm not saying it's a jinn, but let's just say, to make the film interesting, kind of like Alien Nation or something, with a detective, a jinn detective and a human detective, and they're tracking down this rogue jinn who just goes around feeding off fear. Because the thing is, if it wanted to physically hurt people, is the point I'm trying to get to, sorry, is, well, yeah, but the thing is, even if you can't fall asleep, you will pass out if you don't get enough sleep. Believe me, I'm a insomniac, and yeah. But surely it'll take you. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It wants you to stay awake. Why is that? Because when you're awake, it can terrify you and feed off energy. So maybe it's like a psychic vampire, just feeds off your fear.
In this section, the doctor tried to convince him that he should sleep, that what he saw in sleep paralysis was not real, and that it was the lack of sleep that generated those visions.
Yeah, but sorry to interrupt you, but what gets me though is interesting is because I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me correctly, if I read somewhere in a medical journal that if you have sleep paralysis all the time, literally every day, then you definitely do need medical attention, because that's not normal. The odd account and the rare occasion when it happens, that's perfectly normal. We all get it. But for it to happen every time you go to bed, there must be something physical or bio-neurological happening or not happening. That's there's basically a problem somewhere with your brain, physically or mentally or biologically, because something there is not doing its job. There's something delaying your reaction to waking up, or you know what I mean, all kinds of things. But I think I did actually read somewhere it's also in general detrimental to your health. So yeah, that in itself is quite worrying. It's like, mind you, that's probably why he's experimenting on it, doing these experiments.
Practically an entire cycle that only managed to worsen his health. Time passed, and on one Friday, the patient arrived in a serious mental state, hysterical, as if something was chasing him. The doctor determined that he had entered a psychotic state.
I think it gets me, obviously he's doing experiments, but what gets me is there's drugs or medication they can give to stop you from not dreaming, but there's treatments, isn't there? So it's odd that they're not giving him treatments for it. But again, I suppose he's trying to figure out, I suppose what it is, as a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever it is, he's trying to figure out what's going on. So only as a last resort, then he administers the medication. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's medication he gives someone to... If you can give medication to stop people from dreaming, then I'm pretty sure you can give them something to help them out of this thing.
Saddened, he decided to urgently admit him and have him spend the night in the hospital. Luckily, the man was still in his right mind to say that he needed help. The next day, when the doctor arrived to start his workday, workers told him that they had found Michael completely out of his mind, running and banging into the walls in the remodeled section of the hospital, a closed section where for the moment, where not even staff have access. This
also would be interesting to put a camera on him.
Will kill you, his colleagues told him as they handed the doctor the patient's cell phone. How could Michael get his cell phone in the first place? The policy of the psychiatric hospital strictly prohibited patients from having such devices, not only for the privacy of others, but because they can be a distracting element and worsen the patient's health. However, Michael somehow managed to keep it from being taken away. That became meaningless once they showed the doctor what was in the cell phone. Dozens and dozens of photos from the night before. Photos like these.
Ew. Oh, to the left. Problem, some of them are really blur, isn't it? Oh. Oh, no, here we go. Oh, fucking hell. It's actually the music that gets me as well. It's like a ding, and then the zooming in. It's like, really? Here we go. Yep. Oh.
As he ran through the hallways, Michael photographed what was in front of him and what was behind him. Most of the photos were blurry, without anything being seen, except in one. It is not uncommon for these types of things to be seen by sick eyes under a psychotic state.
Where's his fucking legs?
But a camera? The fact that the camera caught it means that this thing was there. This image made everyone's blood freeze, because the doctor couldn't help but talk to his colleagues about the drawings that Michael had made the previous days.
And to be fair, that is the doctor's seen this as well. I'm pretty sure if they could debunk it, I'm not saying this is legit, but if they could explain this or debunk it, I'm pretty sure this doctor would. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, the doctor likes... Oh, no, well, it depends if he's making money from it or not. We don't know outside of the story if he's making money off selling these stories, these cases, I don't know. But let's just say he's being a genuine doctor, as it were, you know, genuinely concerned doctor. The fact that he can't debunk it or come up with an idea, you know what I mean? Because he could surely go, oh, it's psychological, blah, blah. But then it's like, how would he explain that on the camera? Be interesting. It's a shame they haven't got CCTV on that ward.
Photos that represented, in effect, this man, the Hat Man. Colleagues told the doctor that Michael arrived that night hysterical, repeating that the creature had begun to harm him. He told Michael that he was coming for him to take him into the darkness. Here, one begins to reflect on the thin line separating reality from madness. The doctor explained to me that this photo shook the pillars of his reality, science, profession, and life.
Ooh.
Just imagine it. The doctor probably dedicated his life to
reason.
restoring deviated minds with drugs, to giving them rest so that the minds could stop projecting these horrors. But what if the drugs were nothing more than a veil that silenced or blinded his mind in the face of terror? Something that gives him comfort just by not being lucid enough. For the doctor, these things are real. He now questions whether his patients' visions are more reflections of their madness, or perhaps something more. A curse that allows them to perceive what reason insists on ignoring. The fact that there are already several similar cases that approach the paranormal makes him think that perhaps it is the establishment that in some way is cursed. How do you know if what your eyes see exists or not? The best way to check is with files. Just like Michael in his photo, and just like Gonzalo, who claims to have captured what he defines as the most intense scare has experienced in his life.
Oh! I see as well, some of this, there's like a shadow. They're a shadow. You know what I mean?
Do you remember this case? The
No.
man who woke up from a nightmare. He woke up exhilarated, and shortly after, disturbing sounds coming from the lower floor broke the silence of the night. He used his cell phone as his only defense. He ventured towards the living room. Mentally, he was prepared for a thief.
What gets me though is, as well, don't matter if it's a thief or a ghosty woasty. What annoys me and what gets me is if you're to freak the F out. Even Casper Site said this in some of his videos. It's like, why wouldn't you go You wouldn't be walking around the house with bloody lights off, would you? And yeah, oh, but if I switch the lights on, it'll scare the intruder away. Good! If it's a weirdo bastard, you don't want to encounter them. They could stab you or kill you. And plus, if you switch the lights on, if there's someone in the house, you'd hear them exit the building because they're like, oh fuck, someone's awake, and run, wouldn't you? And you hear the noise of them leaving. But you wouldn't get around the bloody house, you know, especially if you've got ghosty wosties, all kinds of weird shit going on. You wouldn't walk around the house in the dark, would you? Fuck that.
But as I always say, you are never prepared when the paranormal knocks on your door.
Or is it interdimensional?
Do you remember that this video came with a description of Gonzalo's nightmare? Exactly. That nightmare that woke him up, agitated, was about a dream where this creature appeared. The tall, hunched-over creature in the corner points out something shocking to his right. Gonzalo's body on the ground, as if he had been dead for days.
Oh,
in
God.
that moment of horror, the shadow grabs his arm tightly. And that's when Gonzalo wakes up with a startle. Are we facing a coincidence? Or is it a sign of something deeper and enigmatic that connects these experiences? In both cases, the Hat Man transcends the threshold of nightmares to manifest into reality, blurring the line between imagination and the tangible. Have you seen this thing in your nightmares?
Nope.
You might want to start being careful, for this might be a pattern. First nightmares, then reality. Another evidence, again on video, appeared not too long ago from Tik Tok. In the footage, the man declares that days ago he had been feeling a strange sensation.
Not being horrible, but when it comes to TikTok, I wouldn't trust it with a 10-foot barge pole. Because there's too many people trending paranormal videos and the thing. You know, instead of it's a moving chair or a chair falls over. Loads of people doing that. It's just
In his own house, as if someone or something was watching him from the shadows. He thought he wasn't going to get any further than that, until one night, and after hearing strange sounds from one of the rooms, he found this.
Oh! Oh, I just got chicken on my thighs then. Chicken thighs. Actually, why not? See if it's not cut right. Doesn't appear to be a cut in the film. Ugh.
The camera records the disturbing presence that stares at the camera from the darkness. An entity that wears a hat and that just a few seconds later disappears completely. Who is it? Why was he there?
Who are
All of
you?
these recordings dating from 2023 onwards lead us to an inescapable question. Are we witnessing a pattern where this entity emerges from dreams, crossing the threshold of intangible darkness into our reality? Like shadowy warriors from ancient legends, this figure seems to be weaving its way from the realm of the unknown into the fabric of our existence. Are we on the eve of some kind of omen? So far, the only aggressive contact is Michael's story. All the others are simple appearances. Menacing, yes, but simple aberrations. Although no less worrying. This evidence leads us to the last piece of our intricate puzzle. The last piece that serves as closure for this investigation. This story comes from a subscriber who, for personal reasons, did not want to reveal his identity. However, what he does reveal to us is his shocking life story, which in his own words, has been dominated by inexplicable situations. As incredible as it may sound, he claims that since his childhood, he has felt a presence that follows him, a shadow that at first he considered something normal. But as he grew, he discovered that it was simply inexplicable and terrifying. He says that no matter how much he talks about his situation, he has never been taken seriously, even showing photographs that he has taken. It is for this reason, and as a last attempt, that gathering courage, he swore to take his phone and record the next time he came across it.
There seems to be a parallel, isn't there? I think Castrocyte said it once as well, but the thing is, to me, it sounds too much like Freddy Krueger idea, and that is, you know, are we collectively manifesting this being? You know what I mean? Because that's what it sounds like in some cases, doesn't it? It sounds like people manifest it, ourselves.
An oath whose result, and luckily for us, we now have the opportunity to see.
So why isn't everyone seeing this guy? It's only X amount of people. Oh, I got chicken already. What the fucking hell was that? Oh!
Oh my!
Oh, hello. I can't show my legs, but I got full-on chicken getting them legs. Oh, I went bullfrog. I'm not sure you can see it. You see all that weird texture? That's where my arm's just gone full bullfrog. That's like that bit in Poltergeist 2, isn't it? Hello, child. May I come in? Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
Can you perceive his fear? It comes across the screen. However, ignoring that, he decided to follow him, trying to capture a second shot.
Oh, he's Rambo-ing it.
Perhaps frustrated that even with the photos, no one believed him.
Show your... What? I didn't see fuck all, man. Oh, heard a noise, but...
Fear finally overcame him, and with tears in his eyes, he fled the scene, an experience that no one would want to live, but that our stoic subscriber wanted to make us aware of. These videos are rare. Getting video material is very difficult.
Oh,
but that does not...
That door, I thought it was the front door, wasn't it? It's a kitchen door, and he's just about, or whatever it is, or whatever room that is. And those lines, that's the banister to
mean that this phenomena is uncommon. You send me photographs of these things every day, and lately it has become more and more frequent. Are we witnessing the emergence of a pattern that challenges our reality? The stories seen in this video point to a phenomena that seems to be gaining ground, transcending mere appearances to more direct and terrifying encounters. Do you dream of this being?
No, touch wood.
Comment below. Let me know how many of you could be on the verge of experiencing this transition. And the question does not leave my mind. How many will be on the threshold of an encounter that will change their perception of reality forever?
The thing is, well, you know, it's fascinating. In a dangerous way, though, aren't we planting the seed with all these videos about it? You know what I mean?
This puzzle remains
like
incomplete, but each new piece brings us closer to a deeper understanding of this enigma. Meanwhile, let's keep our eyes open and our minds alert, because apparently the depths of our reality hide secrets that go beyond what we are taught as our only truth. My name is Leonore Clay, and this was The Darkest Secret.
Wow. That was good, wasn't it? Fascinating. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what your idea or what your theory is of the Hat Man. I don't think it's demons. I think it's either something psychological or something from an interdimension. The other thing is people misunderstand demon, and I think there's a lot of problems with Hollywood because demon is just another word for ghost or spirit. Comes from the word daemon, which means a spirit that's trapped between earth and heaven, so basically a ghost. So yeah, but let me know what your thoughts on it are in the comments below. Let me know if you've seen him or still see him. And yeah, I might see if you want to volunteer for some scientific experiments. Like, I'll give you some questions to give them, to see what, to test it, to test this being. Anyway, and luckily, touch wood, I won't encounter him. I mean, I'm into obviously seeing aliens and first contacting. The thing is, even if I am into aliens, anyone who say they may be into it, that's what she said, on the day, you're going to shit yourself because it's something unknown, unexpected. You don't know where it's going to go, do you? So, yeah, brilliant. So let me know in the comments below what you think. What do you think about the Hat Man? What's your ideas on it? Have you encountered the Hat Man, etc.? And with that, thanks for watching, and I hope you can sleep all right tonight. And take care and be well.